Welcome back, Watchman. Let's analyze. The anticipation of the financial scroll's arrival has cast a long shadow over the encampment. For much of the day, we held our positions in the lowlands, waiting for the surge that only arrived with the tide of the final hour. In the darkest hours of the morn, pre-market opened at 55 cents, where price remained bound within the corridor between 55 and 56. At the sounding of the opening bell, 55 cents buckled, forcing a brief retreat to the 54-cent floor before the bullish soldiers gathered their strength. A mid-morning assault on 56 cents was repelled, leaving the forces to range in the mud for over an hour. It was not until the late morning that a slow momentum gathered from the 55-cent base, pushing towards the 57-cent defenses. The fortifications at 57 cents held firm through the midday meal, forcing a weary and slow decline back towards the 55-cent support. At the beginning of the final watch, a tide of volume began to roll in, initiating the pre-earnings rally we have been awaiting. We breached the 59-cent level by the closing bell, and though a brief skirmish occurred at the 60-cent resistance, the momentum could not be contained. The after-hours session saw the advance continue through the dark, eventually establishing a new outpost at 64 cents. Despite the strength of the closing rally, the anticipated scrolls of the earnings report remained sealed throughout the night. The throne has offered no public decree, leaving the watch to await the dawn. We must assume the ledger will be unrolled in the early hours before the morning summons. The charts have turned green in anticipation of the audit. We sit at the gates of the castle, waiting for the truth to be told. That was a nice little after-hours rally, huh? Very odd, too, for it to happen so late and not receive the report. This candle here scared a lot of people. I saw a lot of notes in the community. People were worried about this, but it recovered pretty nicely. Alright, let's move to the window and view the battlefield. Alright, on the daily, we can see our green. We had a 58-cent close. I called it 60 to 58-cent close yesterday. So this is about right. We did break this demand here, this supply, during the after-hours rally. So I'll close this out. And we created this new little hourly demand with the beginning of the rally. We'll see that when we zoom in a little bit. We're going to look at structure. High, low, high, low, high, low, high, low, and we have a new potential high here, depending on if we get a sell-off from the earnings report, and if not, then it should continue in this direction. If we get good news from the scroll, it should end up somewhere around the 70-cent level, potentially higher depending on volume and the magnitude of greatness from the contents of the scroll. But if we see a sell-off, we could very well hit this one or two of these demand zones down here at the bottom. And depending on the strength of the sell-off, we could dip down into this this ancient boundary down here. Let's go ahead and dive a little deeper. We can move to the hourly and look at the beginning of this closing rally, and we can see how in after hours we breached this supply zone, so it is nullified, and we have this little 55 to 56 cent demand down here. So I imagine that, like I said, if we get the sell-off, we're going to at least test it, if not break it, and we'll have to see, because we don't have the scrolls to analyze tonight. I was going to do an analysis video, but instead we have to wait for the release in the pre-market. I'm just hoping that it gives me enough time to analyze it at least a little bit before the call, so I can have a little bit more intuitive thoughts going into the conference. But like I said, we'll have to see when it's released. Now let's go ahead and dive a little bit deeper so we can honor our candle of the day. I'm not sure who's going to pick this one with me, but I'm choosing the candle that initiated the rally. Right here. Had a nice little surge of volume. The high volume didn't actually start until this third candle here, but it was increasing for 1 and 2. But this guy started the show, and he deserves some respect. So, honor to you, friend. Alright, let's go ahead and close this out, and we can journey to the foreign lands. We can start with ABEV. Here, let me back out to the hourly. They're still dropping, still heading towards filling this gap. If we look at here, we can mark the gap, and we have to go all the way down. We would have to go to 295 for this to be filled. So it's still got a good little ways to fall. Not quite ready to put a trade on that one yet. Alright, we can move to Kiel, and Kiel moved up and broke its previous high today. So I did not get the entry that I've been looking at, which is okay because my order is still sitting on seg. But with this movement up, I have this 4-hour zone right here, and if we look at the daily, we back out to the daily, and we put our Fibonacci on the leg, we can see that 618 is sitting right here, right at the same area where I have this trade marked for whenever it does start dropping. And it's been running for what, since the 29th of April, so it's been running all month. It's gonna have to pull back eventually. So I'm still keeping my eyes on this one. Kiel might end up turning into a long-term play. We're gonna see. If I end up taking a trade, I'll probably leave a little bit of whatever I take to run. We'll see. Maybe I'll set like a trailing stop on it, and but yeah, we'll have to see how that goes. If I were to take this one here, they're both of these are 3.2 risk to reward. Well, that's good. This one's just shorter. If we zoom back into the hourly, we can see that it did start to cool off a little here at the end, so depending on the strength for tomorrow, if it gets a pullback, it's more than likely going to drop down to this area here. But that depends on the strength of the pullback. I'm still going to keep my interest, my eyes are going to be on this 369 entry for these two zones down here, because like I said, if it's a long-term play, it's going to come and pass this 460 line when it goes on its next leg up. Alright, now we can move on to seg, where I have my trade. Alright, so we can see that we do have a new daily zone here that opened up this morning, but this candle didn't break the previous high, which would have been quite a feat, but it didn't break it. So I'm not gonna change my order, because I believe that it's still gonna pull back some more before it moves up. But we'll have to see what happens with that tomorrow. It'd be real easy if I were a psychic or a prophet, some kind of oracle, and we could all make a lot of money. But unfortunately, nobody can really tell what the market's going to do day to day. So we have to just use probabilities. But yeah, my order's still going to stand down here at $1.05 with the same targets. Oh, I don't want to move that. There we go. Yep, and nothing has changed on the ledger. We don't need to look at the trading journal, so we can go ahead and close out the day. A lot of people I'm getting 100,000 messages an hour with people trying to send me questions they want me to ask on the call in the morning. And I'm lucky to have the time that I do, and I already have my script developed, and I have my questions chosen, and I have everything written out already. And some of you are going to be disappointed with the questions I ask, and some of you will probably be happy with the questions that I ask. But you know, there are too many of you for me to please everyone. And the questions that I have chosen and written out, I do believe they are valid questions, and that they are important questions that we all would like to know the answer to, even if some of us don't realize that we want to know the answer to them. And you know, who knows, if it's possible that they might answer some of them before I even get a chance to ask, in which case I'll have to change my strategy on the fly. So I do have a bunch of backup questions lined out, some of them from suggestions and some of them are just ones that I thought of. But it's tune in if you can. It's going to be an earnings call for the ages. It'll definitely go down in history, and I'll just leave it at that. So remember to smash that like button and ring the closing bell. Subscribe to the channel. Journey with us through the foreign lands. You can join us in the Discord. Got the link below. Have my DVLT merch shop in the link in the description below as well. Drop me some comments. Let me know what you think about tomorrow morning's earnings call and what you expect from the report. Until the end of all things, the Night Watch stands forever.